Hey, so my name is Erik Johnson. I'm a veterinarian in Marietta with a health specialty in fish health, and I am coming to you today with a video on filtration and a filtration type that you can make yourself at home out of kind of commonly available parts. And this is an illustrated video, so don't lose faith. You'll be looking at a lot more than just my face for this video. So the concept of this entire video is pulling water or pushing water through a sponge. It's essentially sponge filtration. And I think you're going to be relying heavily on a web page that I put together for a lot of different things. It's resources, for example, where to get the materials for this. I'll tell you what the materials are. If you have a resource for those yourself, that's totally cool. But what you're looking at is blocks of open cell foam. It's a specific kind of sponge material that allows a lot of water to go through, but not so much particulate debris. If you hold it up to your face and blow on it, there's almost no resistance. And so it allows you to move a large quantity of water, and it won't filter algae, but it will filter just about every kind of particle you can imagine, and they're easy to clean. So these filtration systems are very easy to clean. They allow high flows. They pick up a tremendous amount of particulate debris. They can colonize with beneficial bacteria that will reduce your ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate. And they're not made of a material that changes your pH. And it's very hard for them to go anaerobic. Don't worry about that one. So what I'm going to show you is a couple of methods that I've used to put water or pull water through. My fish room, for example, is using exclusively that kind of filtration system and almost exclusively air powered. The reason being is I can push high volumes of air through these filtration systems a lot cheaper than I can push water using electrical pumps. And my fish room is taxed for electricity by all the pumps involved, and heaters. I've got 13 heaters going in there for the turtles and fish and all that, and at 100 watts each, that's 13,000 watts, I think, and it's kind of a lot. So I'm pushing my filtration systems with air, and it works really, really well. And there's so many different ways to do it, and I'll show you pictures and video of all the different methods. But the best one that I found is using 3/4 inch. Well, let's say, okay, so they're 3/4 inch rubber bulkheads by Uniseal. You can get them on Amazon, or go to koivet.com/resources, and it'll have a link to those. Also happens to be a link to those, to the right ones, that if you use that link, I'll get 25 cents through my Amazon affiliate status. So there's full disclosure. So I use 3/4 inch bulkheads, and they're linked, and I use a trash can, a plastic trash can, yep, and then a block of open cell foam. And then there's variations on that. I'm using a cereal container for one, and I'm using some baskets from Target for 2 other ones, and then I'm using 2 little cat litter pans for one that's in with the turtles. And I'm holding a lot of this stuff together. You can make giant rubber bands out of airline tubing, stretchy silicone airline tubing, and some 1/4 inch unions from irrigation. And there's going to be a video on irrigation. I'm rambling, but that's okay. You're probably looking at pictures right now. So basically what you do is you take a piece of open cell foam that fits snug in the top of the garbage can. And we're talking about a shallow, small vanity room, plastic, not brittle, but a plastic trash can. I used white ones because they grow algae on them very quickly, and algae in your pond or a fish tank is a very good thing. But I used white ones, and you want a piece of open cell foam that's slightly larger than the opening, so it fits in there snugly and doesn't come out and doesn't allow any water to bypass. And then what you're going to want to do is drill a 3/4 inch hole in the bottom of the trash can. If you're going to have the trash can on its side, which I'd recommend that you do, then you're going to want to drill the hole in the side of the trash can and put a 3/4 inch Uniseal bulkhead in that hole, and then that holds a 1/2 inch standpipe. Now the standpipe can be modified 2 different ways. I punched 9 or 10 or 12 holes in the bottom of the standpipe so that nothing would happen, to allow water to go into the through the sponge and then up the standpipe. You could also cut the standpipe at a 90-degree angle, which would prevent it from being blocked by the bottom of the trash barrel or the trash can, which is totally fine. Then there's pictures of that. So then to prepare the standpipe, I'm not using air stones. And the reason being is that in a 1/2 inch stack, it's a rare air stone that there's only one, in fact, air stone. And I'll put a link to it on koivet.com/resources. But there's one air stone that can go into a 1/2 inch stack and still allow water to go by. So I'm just using, for most of them, I'm just using 1/4 inch airline tubing going through a angled hole in the standpipe, and then running my airline tubing down to just above the holes that are in the standpipe, because I don't want air to come out in the filtration system. It defeats the standpipe. You just want the standpipe to bubbles to raise water up the standpipe. And I'll show you some video of that. Now in the turtle tank, I am using an air stone. It's one of the small fiber air stones. It has no particular width over the it has no particular width over the 1/2 inch and over the 1/4 inch airline tubing, and I like those. I don't like air stones in general because they get clogged eventually. So when you use an open tube, it has a tendency not to get clogged. I hope you're writing this down, because I am not reading a script and I'm driving at the same time. Okay, so I'll show you a picture of how to prepare the standpipe. It goes through a 3/4 inch bulkhead that accepts a 1/2 inch piece of tubing, and then the 1/4 inch airline tubing goes down into the standpipe. And then the one last thing you have to do before this thing is essentially ready to use is put a rock in it. Because it's going to try to float, especially when it's new. Especially when it's new in the tank, the sponge is going to hold a lot of air. Once the sponge is seasoned, it's going to be actually neutrally buoyant. So any little stone is going to hold it down. And like I said, this is hopefully all being illustrated by me as I edit this to make sense. And then you just drop that into the tank, and then you are ready to use it. And it will run and cycle, and then whenever you notice it's looking dirty, you can take that thing out and wring it, and it's good to go. Now I'm showing you a wood turtle tank that has one that's powered, and basically you put the pump in the I'm gonna have to hi Kelly,